Let's take a look at the smallest and quickest Volvo SUV ever with an extended driving part. And I can tell you, SUV, maybe it is rather a hot hatch, a hot electric hatch. Let's find out more about this one with Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go front. Of course, all the way sleek and closed, as we know for the electric vehicles, and the Thor's hammer design for the LED in the front, with a segmented part as well. So a very modern approach. Vapor grey is this exterior color. Once again, I fit very well to it. Here, the wheels, we can already see them at the side, 20-inch, pretty massive, the biggest ones that are available. Will they still deliver comfort? We will find out very soon. Smallest wheels would be, by the way, 18-inch, and here the length is 4 meters 23 or 167 inches. That is actually quite tiny, and if you think about the siblings of this one, the platform siblings, the Zeekr X or the Smart 1, Smart 3, this one here is the smallest of them all. And we can see a rather upright styling here. So you still see Volvo design, definitely. Nice EX30 badge right here. And we have the charging flap here. And that is actually quite interesting because 22 kilowatt AC charging and 150 kilowatt DC charging gives you some 26 minutes from 10 to 80% state of charge. Two battery sizes, either 41 kilowatt hours net together with rear-wheel drive. I think that's just too small because even the bigger battery at 64 kilowatt hours net is not too large. So I would rather go in for the big battery. And then also for the big battery, you have two versions, rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Acceleration figures, 5.3 seconds for the rear-wheel drive version, 3.6 seconds for the all-wheel drive version. Then visually, I think it's a mix of SUV and hot hatch. This SUV quotation, because all the Volvo SUV models, they had this vertical signature, and you find that here, but then a little bit modern interpretation. And what's also interesting here for the rear hatch, there's this small button we can press, and then the hatch is opening. I think it's quite visible. First look, you can store some significant luggage in here. 320 up to 900 liters, that's 11 up to 32 cubic feet. And the width here is a little bit less than a meter or 40 inches. And the length, I mean, it's a short vehicle, so some 70 centimeters, 28 inches. If you exactly want to know the dimensions, by the way, look at here. This is actually the full. This is brought to you, sponsored by IKEA. Will the IKEA items fit in this Swedish vehicle, which is built in China, by the way? So I think that's a very nice idea here. I already folded one half of the seat there, 140 meters, 56 inches. And here underneath, by the way, you can store some significant things, also a charging cable, for example. And if you want that all the way flat, you can also do it like this. And then you have the lower floor stored here. I think it's also a nice idea. It's one of the things I often hate about trunk of the vehicles here, about the trunk covers especially. So when you load things in, maybe you do it sometimes quickly, and then here you touch this here, this edge, with your hand, and I already damaged here something of my skin because this edge here is so super razor sharp. You really have to pay attention. So yeah, just a warning out there. I think that could have been made better. I think manufacturers shouldn't do it in that way, that it's so sharp. But we see it at many manufacturers, that problem actually. Does it frunk or not? Yes, it does. So there's a small one available here. A small charging cable does fit in there. And you have here some silhouette, for example, of an elk and so on. So a little bit more playful in the design. Turning indicators in the front, replace the whole Thor's hammer daytime running light, pretty cool. By the way, I heard that some say that it would be like an evil clown's face in the front. I don't see it, but do you see it? Quite cool. Turning indicators in the rear here, dual style. Leah actually just told me that she found it very sweet. It would be like, like twinkling eyes or something. So to open the vehicle, Volvo wants you to have your smartphone as the digital key. Alternatively, you get these key cards in these leatherette holders here, for example. And when you have the base version, then you would hold your smartphone or the key card here against the B pillar to open or close the vehicle. And also in the base version, you have to put the key card in the lower left in front of the inductive charging pad to be able to start the vehicle. Or when you have the base digital key installed, then you put your phone right here. But then if you have the mid or the high trim level, you do not need to rely on the digital key with the direct NFC contact, so you do not have to put it then down there. Then actually, with this elaborated digital key, you can put your phone everywhere And also when you approach the vehicle from the outside, you don't have to do anything, you just open the door, because they use ultra-wideband instead of Bluetooth like many other manufacturers. That also has the advantage when you're just passing the car, it doesn't open itself, because the car knows when you're really approaching the vehicle and want to open it. So very strange. First of all, why make it so complicated in this two-step and confuse the customer, and maybe some go for the base version, then always have to put the phone or the key card in front of the inductive charging pad? Yeah, and then of course they say, hey, we save the instruments, we save the head-up display because we make it less complex and so on. But then for the digital phone key, they go for the most complex and most expensive technology there is, and even more expensive and more complex than all the other manufacturers. I don't see any logic there. Do you? Then door closing sound is, I would say, standard, not too bad, not too good. Then here, inside of the doors, the top part is soft. Then this is a new material here, because they pay attention to recycling and sustainability. This is flex material, actually. You can get different stylings. I like this inside door handle. That looks really premium, also feels like that. Softer even for your elbows, that's nice. And I also like this gray fabric inset right here. Then the steering wheel with capacitive buttons, that's not my favorite, you know, and also no instruments, no head-up display. Yeah, whereas the siblings, the Zeekr X, for example, and the Smart 1 or 3 do have that. And here, this top part here is not too soft, but also not too hard, something in between. Again, the flex material, interesting air vent control here, and then this transparent look, a nice EX30 badge at the inside there. And then the seats, different choices are available. This is here the setup with 70% recycled PET bottles and 30% wool. To me, it's not the ideal choice, because when you sit on it, actually, like this, it would be no problem. But when you're like in summer, have shorts or maybe like short arms, then this 30% wool share is enough that it feels kind of like scratchy on your skin. So I think it doesn't make sense. They should have gone for just for a normal fabric material. And this here would be my favorite interior trim. It's this denim trim. First of all, you then have a black leatherette in the bottom part and this fabric on the top part without wool share then. It's also softer actually. And on the dashboard you have actually recycled denim fiber from denim waste. So it's a great idea also to reduce more CO2. I think it's also the best, like more like drawn back conservative look, but really cool in the color combination. Also the steering wheel with a vegan material, so Volvo has been doing a lot in that respect, and also, for example, 100% recycling floor mats and so on. So this whole vehicle has 1/4 less of CO2 impact than a model they would have produced before from the whole circle. Seating position. It's not an SUV from a seating position. The XC40, that is also in the EV version available, that is a true SUV. This one, maybe from the outside looks a little bit, but seating-wise, really feels like a hot hatch. To me, comparable also with the steering setup, like a Renault Megane EV, for example. Manual up and down, in and out. But the seating comfort is still very decent. Interior cockpit overview, you can decide if you call it clean and minimalistic or cost savings. That is really matter of preference, I would say. It is super clean and kind of like calms your eye. Here, once again, with this flex insert, they also have a structure, so it feels really interesting. Then these vertical air vent controllers and 12.3-inch infotainment with a lot of functionality. So what do you need to know? This one here is the inbuilt Android Automotive with native Google Maps support. That is actually pretty cool. And then you have the temperature control here in the lower part. Yeah, hard to do that while driving, I feel. And here you have this main menu. Apple CarPlay in a wireless way will also follow then soon in 2024, they promise. Here the vehicle controls, one pedal drive or recuperation via the brake pedal. Deactivate the speed limit warning for the EU. This is where you control then the mirrors, like Tesla style, doing it here in the infotainment system. Then important, here the trip info for the consumption of the vehicle. Soon more to that. And under settings, here especially the driving settings, where control how firm the steering feel is, for example. And the glove box opens here in the infotainment system. Quite spacious, and it's here in the middle part that the driver can also easily access it and doesn't have to reach over. The good thing is that when the vehicle is off or closed, of course you always need the infotainment system to be on to open it, so some kind of safety thing. And one thing you also know from Tesla, Model 3, Model Y, here, the speed is just there in the top part of the infotainment system. That's it. Volume control at the steering wheel, by the way, is right here. By the way, this interior trim is called mist, like the mist from the rain outside, for example, maybe, like moist. The only problem is the German market will probably rename that, because mist in German is like, like trash or like cow poo. So I think they'll come up with another name then for the German configurator or something. We'll follow that. So listen and repeat. The German lesson for today, mist. Left side inductive charging pad, so it's not two inductive charging pads, just one. Then this lower part you can put open, then you have the USB-C charging, but the material below that is, I would say, doubtful. So you see light and shadow here. Some features I love, some I'm not so fond of. Then here, this middle console. The window levers here are at the inside middle console, and the reason for that is they try to reduce complexity. So why do they do that? Also to bring down CO2 output and so on, because then you can have less complexity inside the doors. And of course, you can argue both. Cost savings and also less CO2 in the production. Maybe I would say it's both. Then it's also interesting. Here, this one is soft, but you cannot open this. But here, this is the slider, and you can slide it back actually then in 2 steps like this. And also this cup holder thing, either they are in place or you slide them backward, once again in 2 steps. And then you can just put things more openly in it. But this yellow ground is here, like, I'm not sure what this is supposed to, like, why did they do that? I mean, also once again, CO2 reduction and so on, but I think they could have found a little bit nicer material there in this case, and then slide it back here. Everything is hidden once again. Front window controls. If you press rear, then you can also control the rear windows here from the front. And headroom with 189 or 6'2", a lot of headroom left. That's cool, so you don't feel caged in this small vehicle. However, fixed panoramic roof without any shade. Yeah, we know they have this filter in the glass. It still will get hotter than with a fixed roof. Rear doors, you have soft touch at the top part actually, and then once again this nice door lever, then the flex material that of course then, as it says, flex uses plant fiber, so this is also going full circle, even to reduce the, even recycling or petroleum impact and so on. So I think a good approach. This time I also fit to the interior of the car, don't I? The only thing I don't fit in size-wise, at least with my legs here, there's a problem, but it's also a small vehicle, so you can basically understand that. Headroom-wise, by the way, it's no problem. I do fit here also with tall adults. It's just the legroom that is actually the problem. And you can legally sit here with 3 adults next to each other, but the question is, does it really fit? In most cases not. Here in the middle console, by the way, once again, the window levers also for the rear windows and 2 more USB-C chargers. And in this middle part, you can put things in and then take the whole thing out, maybe to clean it or something. And we also have, once again, these really sweet elk silhouettes here, and with the Swedish forest and so on. So why not being a little bit more playful? Acceleration. Plop. That's a 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour. I think that works quite well, doesn't it? And then here, being on the motorway, what's interesting is we've recently driven the Zeekr X, which is a sister model to this one here. And there we also noted that it's generally quite silent, but then here, these side mirrors, they do some wind noise when it's a little bit quicker than here on the motorway. So here now, at about 60 kilometers an hour, it's gone. But when you drive a little bit faster, then you hear that something's not right here from the wind direction there, how the wind is directed alongside the side mirrors. So that's the only thing that is a little bit louder here. But as I said, the general noise here on the motorway is actually quite okay. That's the only thing, basically. So now getting on, let's see about steering. It's really crisp and direct. There's also no dead zone area and so on. So really likable one. It feels really electric and I would say, somewhat artificial, so it's not the most natural steering feel, but it's really good and sporty and direct. You can also adjust it a little bit here. Of course, doing that while driving is critical. You always have to take a look at that one, and here in driving, so you better set it up when you're stationary. Here, soft or medium. There it is. Yeah, see how distracting it is. That was time interval to vehicle ahead, and I was thinking, oh, I'm in this menu. So here now, steering wheel, soft. It's super light then, medium, a little bit more feedback, but I prefer the firm setting. Do you also prefer it firm? Tell me in the comments. Sorry, I had to go for this one. Here then, lane change. We also have the blind spot monitor, very good integration. And here, by the way, when I click this one, I go back to my GPS. It's the native Google Maps GPS. That's, of course, really helpful. Only speed. I see nothing in the head-up display. I see nothing in the instruments because there are none. And in the sister models, they are available. Okay, so here I always have the speed there. The same fate as in Tesla Model 3 and Tesla Model Y. And some say it's fine and some say it's not. So what do you think about it? Are you okay that the speed is just there? Tell me in the comments as well. So, you know, there are these third-party stuff for Tesla Model 3 and Tesla Model Y which add instruments and then add Apple CarPlay on the instruments, and you reach through then to that. And there's a reason for that, because people want to have something, you know, in front of them with the speed. Here, by the way, when I put down the shifting, the gear lever one more time, then I'm in this cruise control mode, which also has the active lane keeping assist. So here, it's keeping me in the lane. And this is, again, a difference to the Zeekr X, because the vehicles that are not like fully developed in Europe, you know, they come over with new brands from China, usually they have problems with the assistance systems and they need more work, more time with that. Here, the Volvo, everything works well. All the systems are in place. So after our test ride, we scored some 18 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. Not the most efficient, but also not dramatically bad. But together with a small battery, even in that bigger battery size here in that vehicle, we can then only land some 350 kilometers or 220 miles of electric range. So this is more for the city purpose and so on. And remember, this has a drag coefficient CD value of 0.28. That's also not too good. So when you drive faster, the consumption will also get worse. The driving experience, however, is so much fun. So to me, it is this city hot hatch thing. Now compare the siblings with the Zeekr X and the Smart 3.